Hi everyone, and welcome to what's going to be the first of a monthly series of updates on what's happening in our little garden. The space is very much a work in progress, and I really mean that. It's a bit of a mess at the minute. It's kind of been a slow process, and because the house was a bit of a fixer-upper when we moved in 2 years ago, we have mostly focused on the inside. There's still a lot more that needs doing there too, but the garden was kind of a bit on the back burner until this year. And with myself having some health issues and my partner working full time, we don't always have time to get everything done in the garden, but I thought that might actually be quite a good thing to show. I feel like a lot of videos like this will show the perfect elements of a garden or a house or whatever it is, and that can kind of get you feeling down and make it feel unattainable and like something you could never actually achieve yourself, so why even start? So what I wanted to do was show a little bit about what I'm doing each month with the conditions and with the sort of setbacks and issues that I've had, so that you can get an idea of what a realistic vegetable and flower garden might look like, and maybe hopefully it'll inspire some people to do a little bit more in their own garden, or give them some ideas of what they can do, or just be interesting to follow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into some footage that I've taken of the garden and just talk over it and kind of explain what's happening here. So this is as you come out of my back door in the kitchen. We've got this little patio, lots of weeds and stuff going on here, and then we've got quite a long back garden. We've got a little seating area. What I've been doing this year is growing some of our produce on the patio itself. So things like tomatoes, peppers, chilies, aubergines and cucumbers have all been growing on the patio this year. I find that the patio retains the heat really well, so that's been really good for kind of keeping them warm and keeping them growing. That's my cucumber plant there, which I've just got the one of, and then we've got a lot of different tomatoes and peppers. With the tomatoes, they've been mostly grown from seed. My mum got me a lovely set of tomato seeds a couple of years ago that had a bunch of different varieties, and I've tried to plant out kind of a little bit of everything. So we've got some like little cherry tomatoes, we've got some bigger beefsteak tomatoes, all different colours and shapes, and should be really fun when they're all ready. I filmed this maybe a week and a half ago, and some of the tomatoes are starting to be ripe now. A little bit later in the year than maybe they are for some people, but that's fine. We've got our sunniest bed in the garden here that I've just set up. We've been cutting back some trees at the back of the garden, so I've used some of the branches from them to line the bed, just to give it a real kind of rustic look. My idea for the garden overall is going to be for it to have a very whimsical, cottagey, fairy garden kind of vibe. At the back along there we've got some different varieties of heritage sunflowers, so they're kind of orange and golden sunflowers, really interesting. We've got a few squash plants here. That one's a sort of yellowish green courgette called a tenor, and we've got, as well as that, we've got a bunch of like little flower plug plants that I bought online. You can see our grass isn't in very good condition, but what I've done to set up the beds is actually use a no dig method. So I've put down a bunch of plain cardboard and then just covered the top in soil to establish the beds, and as the weeds die underneath the cardboard, eventually the cardboard will rot, the current plants will get their roots in, and that'll just become a bed. You can see where we've been cutting it back. At the back of the garden there's a bunch of conifers and a bunch of other trees back there that we're going to eventually all take down. We've got another bed here where we're growing corn. We've got some yellow courgettes in there, some companion flowers as well. We ate the first of these courgettes the other day. I made a pasta sauce that involved basically grating a bunch of those courgettes and sweating them down in a load of olive oil until they were almost like a sauce, and then we just added a little bit of Parmesan cheese and sun-dried tomatoes when we added pasta to them later on, it with a bit of the pasta water, and it all came together really nicely. You can see we've got some squash that are sort of creeping along the ground here. Those are curry squash or Japanese squash, the little orange ball squashes that you get, often used for like on the side with Japanese curries and things like that. We've got some big rudbeckia plants which I got from my mum last year. They're huge, they're as tall as me, and they grow that big over the course of like 2 months, and then they go completely back down to the ground during the winter and look like they'll never come back. This is our main kind of herb garden area that's closest to the kitchen. We've got a few sort of perennial herbs in there and some flowers. This is mainly nasturtiums and just some decorative shrubs. We've got tree spinach there, which is the pink and green plant. That's kind of a cut and come again crop that we've got going on. These grasses have all died because they've been transplanted from my mum's garden, and they'll come next year. We've got some lovely climbing plants at the back, and then we've got some black currants here which are delicious. We've got a bunch of perpetual spinach which is related to beetroot. I'm letting it go to seed, it'll just kind of reseed itself in that spot. And we've got a bunch of sage there and more of those grasses. Hopefully next month you'll be able to see a bit of progress on some of those plants. What I'm planning to do next is get some more plug plants. I'm wanting to get a bunch of like lavender and things like that, like very fragrant perennial herbs and stuff like that to go in, that will come back every year, so we don't have to worry too much about the flowers. I don't want to be buying bedding plants every year to fill the garden. I really want to have some stuff that's going to come back year on year. So whether that's getting perennial plants that are just going to come back, or getting things like poppies and stuff like that, or nasturtiums that readily self-seed. So I've been doing a bit of that. I've got some white lavender and some rose lavender, so like pink and white lavender plants coming soon, so that'll be really good to get plug plants in. And we're also going to plant a bunch of seeds for things that'll come later in this year or towards the start of next year, so that'll be more vegetable related things. We can start getting in things like cabbages, because by the time they get a bit bigger the weather will have cooled down a bit and they won't just bolt and go straight to seed, so we can probably do some of those over the next month. I'm thinking we'll probably get maybe some radishes or something like that in, and have a look at what else is plantable at the minute. And I like to just kind of mix all of the vegetables and flowers together and just create a bit of a mismatched garden. We did that at the old house in pots, and now we're continuing that trend here. So hopefully that all goes well this month. I'm really looking forward to my plug plants getting delivered, and I will update towards the end of August on what's happened over the last month. So I'll see you then.